Chi-Yi, so Chi, I'll hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Constance. Thank you, everyone, for joining our AI and data panel here. Let's do a quick survey here. Are you the first time in the Taiwan Tech Summit? Let us know. Raise your hand. Great. Thank you so much for your first time here. Who is your second time? Raise your hand. Oh, great. Third time, all time. Oh, great. It's all volunteer. Fantastic. That means we start building better reputation, and I really appreciate everyone here. My name is Ching-Fong. I'm the co-founder of the Taiwan Data Science Meetup. We founded in 2017 in Silicon Valley. Now we have about 38,000 number of people on Facebook group. If you haven't signed us up, please make sure you do a registration, and also you can stop by our booth. So today we'll be very exciting with our all four panel here. I will have a quick intro. But in the meantime, in today's market, I think people is very, very panicked, but also very excited here. And today's conversation a little bit different from this morning. I want to be more like kind of the close to everybody, right? It's more about each individual, what you are thinking, what you need to do in today's opportunity, from the upskilling perspective, from like kind of how you can get the right job opportunity as well. So we have a full panel here. So maybe I will start with KaiPin, have a quick self intro, and then we'll go from there. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chi. It's my pleasure to be here.
Hold on. Turn on.
All right. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you, Chi, for the kind invitation. My name is KaiPin, and my background is rooted in academic, and but always take it in a pragmatic approach. I have a PhD in computational fluid dynamics, and after that I work in McKinsey, and I deliver business value in different industries by deploying machine learning models. And then now I'm working at Zipline. I'm part of the team that does computer vision and the validation process. And Zipline is the world's largest autonomous delivery system. Over the last 7 years, we have delivered 1 million autonomous deliveries, mostly in Central Africa countries. Those deliveries include blood, anti-venom, and critical medical supplies to the medical facilities that are harder to reach by current infrastructure. And a study in Wharton found that Zipline service has reduced 51% of the maternal deaths due to postpartum hemorrhage in Rwanda. So that's quite a life-saving business. So I'm really excited to be here, and very excited to hear what my fellow panels will be saying. Thank you.
Thank you, KaiPin.
Hi, my name is Wendy. Right now I'm an engineering manager at Google, mostly working on Gen AI safety.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. I was in the forum earlier this morning, so I've done my intro already. I will repeat some part of it. Currently I'm serving as a mentor and advisor to some AI staff. And previously I was the VP Machine Learning at the company called Hyperscience. And I assume some of the audience here is probably local in Bay Area. So before Hyperscience, I was the head of machine learning at a company called Quora, which is the content platform here. And I was also doing search in Yahoo at early stage of my career. Nice to meet you.
Well, I'm here at the risk of feeling really out of place because I bring somewhat a different background. I'm an economist, so I do possess a PhD in economics, which is completely different from what the panel probably is looking for. But I'm going to try my best. I travel all the way here from Orange County. I live in Orange County. I'm currently overseeing the marketing function at KDAN. We are a workflow/document management provider, as well as a provider for electronic signature solutions. And like I said before, I mean, hopefully I could bring a somewhat different perspective and to help contribute to this particular panel.
This is great. You can see here we have a full PhD here, really line up. But really the goal is really not scary people with have to be a PhD in the AI data forward here. No, not really. But more important, you don't need to be the specific domain. Because when you work in the data science AI area, you're working with your partner, stakeholder. And that's why with with someone like Wei Zhong, the CMO background, joining this panel will give you very perspective feedback about how you look into this opportunity. As I said earlier, AI job-driven market is crazy. So let's start with talking about understand from them about what happened on their company in the AI innovation. So my first question to them is kind of in the past 2 years, what major shift have you observed in your industry due to AI advancement, especially with the rise of the generative AI? Yeah.
We always go.
Let's go with the second one. Okay, how about from Wendy? Then we will. They are really the data and they will count, right? So yeah. Yeah.
All right, so I work in content safety modeling, and the last 2 years it's completely changed. Everything has changed, even though the basic concept hasn't changed. So the large models can perform much better than any of the smaller models that we were training before. So we had to learn to how to use prompt. Like last year, we were embracing manually changing the prompts. That's called prompt tuning. And then we started to realize, oh, you could do automatic prompt tuning. And then also we realized that, oh, you could do further tunings called LoRa tuning. So if you have a handful of 100 examples, you could do LoRa tuning. And then you can also do supervised fine tuning. We start to learn how to use these big models and further control them. And then we also realized initially we were we can't use these big models, they're too slow. And then we realized, oh, you could distill these models and then make them smaller but faster. We also realized that we don't have to fetch the data in the databases anymore, the poor man's way of getting a handful of data. We can just generate synthetic data for training data. So that's a lot of things have changed. And also explainable AI is possible now. So you can actually use the large model to explain why your model is doing certain things. So if the user is blocked from something for Google services, we can actually give them an explainable answer of this is why you were blocked. You might want to change some of your comments this way. Yeah, so it's definitely changed a lot. And also there's a lot more harmful content on the internet now that it's easy to just generate them with AI, and it's really hard to catch them. So the difficulty of the safety guarding has gotten much harder, and also they're multimodal. So it's not just text anymore. You could generate harmful pictures, harmful videos very easily. So it's definitely completely changed the area that I'm in.
All right, I would speak from my own personal experience. My former company, Hyperscience, is in this domain of doing intelligent document processing. And we built AI product to help a company do intelligent document processing and also to back office automation. The company had been around for 8 years. So it's before the Gen AI become mainstream concept and idea. So we kind of custom build several models before large language model is available everywhere. And we build this product and we try to sell to companies such as a government agency, financial institution, bank, and mortgage company. And you can imagine this industry are in general very, very highly regulated. They are very conservative, to say the least. So in order to sell to them, in general, we have to do a lot of education. We have to convince them, yeah, this is actually the future, adopt AI now. But after the end of 2022, the situation changed. You can imagine that everyone and their mom is talking about ChatGPT. So all the executives or their board members are asking themselves, okay, what does it mean to us, to our business? Can we try something now and to assess the risk and as well as opportunity? So the situation completely turned. So in the past, the company like Hyperscience will have to push to this customer. And now is that we are being pulled. Pretty much every company have the budget to at least try it out, right? Start small, prototyping, and just to explore. I think that's very important change for us. But on the flip side, because this industry are highly regulated, and AI is such a new technology, new requirements start to surface. And they are very concerned about data privacy. They are very concerned about whether you can explain the behavior of the component and why AI is doing these things. And also about, for example, buyers and potential kind of social impact. I think this is kind of becoming a new requirement to a software provider like us. So, yeah.
How many of you are scared of AI? Well, I guess I'm both excited and scared.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because really, what this new technology brings to us is this sky is the limit idea. Because nobody knows the trajectory of this technology, and we're just riding it out, right? And I think, from my field, we talk about data. Back in the days, we used to say that, oh, you know what, the truth is in the data. Not anymore, because the data you see might be manipulated, might have been manipulated, right? And we talked about how, we want to control our data. We talked about data security as an example, right? But how many of us are paying attention? So we went from digitization to digitalization. Digitization is simple, right? You just convert traditional media back to digital form. But digitalization is actually a long journey because there's a lot potential and possibilities that you could do with digitalization. And I think a lot of people right now are stuck here because of FOMO, right? Fear of missing out, right? Every company tries to carve out some budget, try things out without knowing exactly where that thing is gonna lead them. And I think I'm looking at it from a very optimistic perspective because this is where the opportunities are. Now, it used to be the case where we say we want, with respect to AI, we just need to have a little bit more data, a little bit more compute, and maybe a few fancy algorithms. Right? But I am eager to see from my personal perspective, either professionally or personally, I'm eager to see the commercialized application. Like we talked about, conversational AI. Everybody has here played with ChatGPT or Cloud AI or Perplexity. But the problem is, it has not yet, at least, penetrated to the individual level. Like we still come here without AI. How many of you are taking like full autonomous driving vehicle to come here? Right? Not yet, right? But it's probably going to happen pretty soon. How many of you are using AI on your phone to deal with all your contracts and documents and personal information? Not yet, but it's going to be here soon, right? And I think that's the scary part, but that's also the part that brings potentially the most opportunities. And I think every company is working on that.
I'm in the autonomous driving sector, or more broadly, yes.
Work hard.
Robotics. Yeah, it's autonomous flying, but driving is the same thing. Right, so I'll provide two observations from my perspective. One is AI helps validation and testing process. So those autonomous driving, Waymo, Tesla, they need tens of millions of miles of real-world driving. Plus, in simulation, they need billions of miles of driving. Those are really expensive, capital intense, and time-consuming. So with Gen AI, we actually can query creative scenarios that are beyond human imagination, that can really cut down the cost and accelerate development cycle, and also, more importantly, build trust in the system. Because we know this system we built has seen literally everything. So that's first trend. And the second trend is replacing the conventional technology stack. So the autonomous driving used to be perceive the world, predict, and then planning your motion. Those are 3 steps. Those are 3 different big teams. Now with Gen AI, people are more and more integrating those steps into one or fewer models, and also changing the way they think about perceiving and understanding the world. Like now the planner is able to query occupancy in relevant time, spatial space, instead of understanding literally everything around the car. So this also increase the accuracy of the operation and also decrease the runtime. So this is really exciting, and I hope this will eventually contribute to everybody using autonomous driving come to the event.
This is great. I'm so happy to hear our panelists to share what's the case they are working on. The idea here behind the question is really let all the audience understand the AI happening is not really on the ChatGPT. Even in the tech giant like Google, even the company like Hyperscience has been running this kind of similar task 10 years already, but really take this innovation to simplify, to make more productivity on their area, but also like on the KaiPin's case there, how can they be streamlined on the new development there? The whole idea really wanted people to see what is the opportunity we bring on the table here, right? For you to observe and to embrace AI, you can from all the angles to really from here, from the first hand, our speaker here to share the information. The second one, I think, is that most people always come to me to ask a question. In today's AI-driven job market here, how can we get upscale at the right stop? And how do I keep my tiny time available on every weekend or evening, can learn something there? How can I be ready for the next one? I'm a big fan to talking about the bending the curve. How can you catch up in such a moment here? So I have two questions here because our speaker have a preferred question to answer. So my first question to the CF Wendy, okay. The question is, how does your team invest in upscaling the member to ensure they are equipped with the latest technology and ready to take on the challenges posed by the advances in generative AI?
I would take this question first. Because I lead the machine learning team, and it's actually a relatively easy.
Probably out of battery. You need on the switch. Thank you.
All right, is that clear?
Very good.
Okay, thank you. So because I lead and manage the machine learning engineering team, so it's relatively easy because just because of the nature of the subject, my team members are usually on the lookout for the latest development and what's going on in the research industry. And what I can do as a leader is to make sure that I remove all the roadblocks and obstacles so they can try it out, have some free time to do that. But I want to answer this question from a slightly different perspective. So if you are individual or you are the manager for a non-machine learning engineering team, what can you do to address this kind of skill gap? So I think you have individual, I would say most of the company in the Valley today, they have this quarterly or semi-annually hackathon, right? So I would encourage you to just like create an account on OpenAI and try it out, right? And whenever have opportunity to play with this API, and when it's a hackathon time, try to find a business problem in your current company, right? And try to see whether you can solve it using a new tool. And by that, you can demonstrate, number one, you can learn something new, right? And number two, you can demonstrate to your management, to your leadership team, hey, there's actually new tool in our toolbox. Maybe we should just invest more, right? Always working code speak volume, louder than any presentation. So that's my recommendation. A little bit trick like this can get you started. And also, if you are a leader, can help your team member to pick up a new skill set.
For me, Google is kind of a gigantic like AI company. So building that cross-function network is very important for me. So like I have a lot of friends in research, and then I can ask a lot of questions to them. So a lot of times I have a problem. It's like, hey, our autorator, and that would be the big model, is not learning fast enough. What do? I have these problems, and then I have like a bunch of advisors that I can ask questions to. And then I bring that technology to my team to learn. Another thing is like, I think it's really important. There's a lot of noise everywhere right now. Like, you don't know if this technology is really going to work. I also don't even completely trust the documentation anymore, because a lot of times, like, they say they'll support this, you have to test it to see if actually it supports this. So I think if you're a manager or a leader, it's really important to develop your team to evaluate new technologies quickly. Instead of like spending 3 months investing in a new technology and realize it doesn't do anything better and it just burns more money, you should be able to make that decision in like about less than a day. And I think that's very important. And the third thing is kind of build a culture of learning. So a lot of the people, especially younger people, are very eager to learn new technology. Encourage that. Encourage that to bring the knowledge back to the team. You can evaluate the technology together, brainstorm the technology together, and then it's always good to incorporate a little bit of the AI stuff in, even if it's not like an AI project, incorporate a few steps of this could be automated with this. Why don't we try this? So it's like more bite-sized, and you can experiment very quickly and iterate very quickly. Eventually, it becomes much more of an AI project after like 5 iterations. Like each quarter, you make a little bit progress.
It's great to hear a little bit the technical hard skill, but in the meantime, I also want people to understand in order to embrace AI, not only the hard skill. So my question to both the Weizhong and the KaiPin is about what kind of the soft skill you think will be very, very important for the audience, like everybody here, they can keep it or develop and while they are embracing the new AI technology.
Thank you. So I think the first one I want to share is, I'll share 2 things. First is influencing people, because Gen AI is such an interdisciplinary field, and adopting it usually requires cross-team collaboration that's even bigger, that's bigger than ever. So influencing people, making people do an alignment of the way they do things, the way they think about things to achieve your objective is really important. But how do we actually do that? So 3 steps. I used to be a consultant, so it's always 2-3 steps.
No more, just 3.
Yes. So first, you need to deeply understand the subject, the topic you're talking about, whether it's the Gen AI technology or the field that you're adopting it to. And the second thing is know your audience. Know what they're looking for. Know what they implicitly need that they never speak out. Could be they need to grow their team, they need to grow their P&L, or they need to answer to their bosses. So understand their audience. And finally, you also must deliver. And not just the Gen AI product, but also deliver to the need of your stakeholders. Right? Those implicit needs I talked about, we need to deliver them. Okay, thanks. Right, so that concludes the first influencing people part. And the second part is critical thinking. And because Gen AI often involves rethink workflows and decision-making processes. So the key question to ask is, what are we really solving for? Let me give you an example. So Salesforce, which is a customer relationship management tool. Companies buy Salesforce because they want to manage their sales process and sales teams. But is that really the goal? No, the goal is to sell efficiently, right? So Salesforce recognized the need, and they're demonstrating this agent force, which can autonomously find sales leads, tailor outreach, schedule meetings, and even coach their salespeople to actually sell those products, right? So this elevates Salesforce from a record-keeping passive tool to an active intelligence system that can change business. Right. Thank you.
Well, I used to be a consultant before, but not that high tier, so I can't do steps.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I can't do steps. But I would piggyback and echo what you just said. I think, based on my previous experiences in higher education, because I've always been a college professor, and I teach economics to youngsters, right? And I think interdisciplinary is important, right? But unfortunately, the traditional curriculum is not set up or designed that way. Right, so you sign up for a program, you major in computer science, for example, you just eat off courses off of that menu, that's it, right? So you don't have a lot of opportunities to really branch out and understand what's going on outside of that field. And AI, unfortunately, requires you to do that because you have to be comfortable with going out of your field and be interdisciplinary so that you can ask the right questions, right? All these products and services that we're looking for, right now, if you don't understand the needs, then there's no market, right? And I think right now, the challenges facing us is that a lot of people are doing AI for the sake of AI. Like I said, it's FOMO, fear of missing out. I don't want to be delayed. I don't want to lag behind. I need to catch up. But what is the issue that you're trying to solve? What is the problem that you're trying to solve? And that we spend less time dealing with that. So I like the steps that you prescribe, which really involves a Socratic method. A Socratic method requires you to ask questions, and not necessarily the right questions. You just have to be curious enough to ask questions. I will say this one thing. I think all of us sitting here, we have some experiences sitting on the other end of the table, hiring, right? I always say this, you know, if I hire for skills I can train, mentality I cannot, right? To me, the most important mentality is being curious and adaptive. You have to be curious. Now, in terms of like technical expertise, I will say that from the perspective of economics, we actually define two different skill sets. One is called general human capital, the other is called industry human capital, industry-specific human capital. So for the industry-specific human capital, I have an example for you. If you ever become a pilot, you're gonna be paid handsomely, right? That's a high-paying job. But outside of the cockpit, your piloting skills cannot be carried over from one industry to another, right? If I ever want you to become a marketer, there is a learning curve for you. So the industry-specific piloting skill, that's gonna pay you well, but it's not transferable. General human capital, on the other hand, is the soft skill. You talk about critical thinking. We talked about being curious and adaptive. Those are soft skills. Those are general human capital. Plus, there's more. Remember, we talked about how, we talked to our kids. You gotta communicate well. You gotta be able to write well, talk well. You need to speak professionally. I just got a text from my son last night talking about, how he's gonna be late at home. And really, the text, and he's like, this thingy gonna run more than 30 minutes, gonna be home soon. And I was like, wait a second. I pronounced everything, but I couldn't understand it, right? So that's the thing, right? So that's a general human capital. So here's the thing. Along the journey, like in the past 10, 20 years, the general human capital set has expanded. Because in the early 90s, when my aunt retired in her 50s, she talked about the fact that she didn't want to do the work anymore, and I was like, why is that? She's like, well, this thing, these people asked me to learn this new thing called email. Everybody's laughing now. But right now, email, computer skill, that's general human capital. Didn't used to be like that, right? So how do we advance? How do we adapt? Again, it goes back to the soft skills, being adaptive, being curious, really understand, the world from a holistic perspective, not just be limited by computer science or engineering. And obviously I'm biased because I'm not a computer scientist, and that's what thankfully I got paid for not being a computer scientist. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents.
Thank you. We do plan to open up the Q&A for the audience here, but we'll after the 2 more questions here. So you can start thinking about what will be the top question you would like to ask our panel. Okay, we maybe have 2 or 3 questions allowed to ask. I will have our team member to figure out. So we talk about innovation. We talk about a little bit more about how can you upscale. Let's come to the reality. How can we really seize the job opportunity down the road? I think this is really the #1 question many people in the audience here, including myself, really want to understand a little bit more here. So I have 2 questions here. I think the first question I will go to the Wendy and the KaiPin. It's more about from machine learning perspective. If my goal is really want to be a machine learning engineer down the road, what would be your suggestion, the key step I should be tech to align the skill set with the strategic AI initiative being adopted by business today? You haven't stopped for a while.
Oh, you counted. You counted.
Yeah. I'm not a consultant, by the way.
Okay. Again, I have 2 thoughts. One is for those in more leadership positions. As a leader, your primary focus should be aligning AI initiatives with the strategy goals that companies executives. So usually, what do senior leaders or executives want to hear? First, externally, they need to hear that you're empowering existing product offering with new AI and Gen AI features. And then you are also working on developing new Gen AI innovations that can bring to eventually lead to new product offering, right? And internally, they want to hear that using Gen AI is able to streamline processes, cut down mundane tasks, and ultimately boost productivity, right? Because executives need to communicate to the board and investors at the company so that to tell them that the company is leveraging Gen AI to transform the business forward. So that's what they want to hear. I want to add one more thing to this. It's not just about having initiatives and talk big pictures. It's also about delivery. 2 quarters or 1 year down the line, you need to deliver values. Deliver or not, you need to tell the story that you are delivering value with Gen AI, right? There's a big difference. So you need to give them something to show for. Success stories, live demos, or improved metrics, or improved P&L. So they have tangible things to show in board meetings and earnings calls or interviews, so that they are convinced and they build the image that the company is transforming because of this Gen AI thinking. Okay, so that's if you're in the leadership position. But if you're in a less influential position, I want to encourage you to think less about skill set, but more about relationships. First, how do we do that? You need to create a reputation of delivering results and making measurable impact, and this will build trust over time. And then second, identify key leaders or influencers who can champion larger initiatives and be strategic partner for expanding these AI initiatives. And lastly, position yourself as the thought partner to those leaders, right? By offering insights, ideas, and perspectives, which makes you a valuable collaborator in shaping AI initiatives, so that when they get the scope, you get to partner with them and actually make the impact and deliver. And eventually you'll work your way up to the leadership position. You'll be the one who grab the AI initiatives. Thank you.
Wow, that's really
Wow,
good.
this
Yeah.
is amazing.
Amazing.
$1 million tips.
I just want to share something that I learned over the past 2 years or so. It feels like things have changed a lot.
Yep.
But actually, they haven't even changed. They have both changed a lot, and they haven't changed that much, actually. So, also similar to what you were sharing, it's embracing that business value. Like if you're already in an industry and you already have some expertise in your industry, embracing that is very important. To try to get yourself new skills in AI, and don't be afraid to be open-minded, learn new things, but at the same time know that this is some sort of transition is happening, but it doesn't mean that you have to throw everything away. What you have already is still very valuable. It's just that maybe you'll use new tools, and that's okay. And people have done that before. Everything starts very small. You can start very small things in your daily lives to like replace certain tasks that you have with AI. Just try it out and then see if it works. Like, for example, to prepare for this panel, I use some of the chatbots to help me, and then I look at it, and then I have 2 strategies. One is, if it can be generated from a chatbot, I shouldn't say that, because then I'm not adding any value. And 2 is, actually some of the words they use is pretty good, it matches with what I want to say, then I'll use it. So that's one of the things that you could do in your daily lives, not just for giving talks or writing things, but just like try to explore these things in your original, like in your field already. And you'll get more ideas. Either you stay in your industry and then use more AI tools, or you jump to something that is building AI tools to help your industry. Both are valid things, but you need to start something now. Another thing is, as I said before, there are a lot of noise out there of what might work, and then you spend a lot of time learning it and it actually doesn't work. So be very open-minded, but also skeptical at the same time. So you always want to be skeptical, like, does it really work? Does it really do what it promises to do? Because like, it's just so noisy right now. But at the same time, be open-minded, such that you don't say, oh, actually that doesn't work, like that never works. I know the best, I know my field, I'm the expert. Actually, you might not be, so be open-minded about the new opportunities in your field. Another thing that I have been in this field for a while, but I always watch this professor in National Taiwan University, Li Hongyi. I really love his videos. I watch it a lot, so I highly recommend it. It upskills me, and I think it's a very digestible class that he offers.
Yeah, actually, this is a very important one. When they introduce their cell, they don't really call out. When they in the school, their major is not machine learning, computer science at all. I recall Wendy's major is biomedical engineering. Okay, but she used to work at Kaggle as a data scientist. Now in the Google running the machine learning. You can see the career transformation is not really happen at the school, even not on the job 1, even not job 2. Maybe it's a job N, right? That's something to keep that in mind in today's world. You need to keep evolving your skill set. That is the only way you can embrace the opportunity outside. Similar question maybe go to the CF, maybe Wei Zhong, you want to add up the also. It's really not from the ML trade here, right? So for the general audience, even I think there's a question, if they are, I'm the student, CF, I'm the student, I'm not in the corporate yet. What will be the strategy advice you will be suggesting they can seize this opportunity, especially talking about bending the curve, 弯道超车, take this opportunity to be success leading out of the people. Any suggestion you would like to share with the audience? Maybe Wei Zhong, if you want, you can also add later. Yeah.
Okay, I can answer this question from kind of 2 angles. One is like if you are in the school, already in the school, currently a student, I would say my opinion is take some machine learning courses. You don't have to bend the curve because you should start a different curve, right? If you are really interested. So the second angle is that what happens if you already graduate with a degree, you're working for a few years already, and that's where you're talking about bending the curve because you studied at some different major and you want to kind of get onto this machine learning bandwagon. I got this question a lot over the years. And I can share with you some of my experience and as a leader, how I can see that happen and how to facilitate some kind of career change. So when I was at Quora, I was the head of the machine learning team there. And I set up a program called Machine Learning Rotation Program. So that's designed for, you can think of that as more like a 3-month in-house internship. So we have a different engineer and people outside of my organization, they want to transfer into machine learning. And so we have a process for doing that. And so I got this question a lot. So my recommendation is, for example, assuming you are for example, you're a QA engineer, you are a front-end engineer, you're a back-end engineer, and you want to join my team. Right? So how I approach this problem and how I would suggest you make an investment. The first one is to be very good at what you're doing right now. So if you're a back-end engineer, you're a front-end engineer, I want to know you're a very strong front-end engineer, back-end engineer. Doesn't matter, you don't have to tell me you're very good at the linear algebra, you got an A at the probability, but you suck at your current job. No, sorry. I mean, I don't care, right? So you have to be very good at your current job, right? And be like a star player in your team, then that would be the first requirement. And I would also say, if you're in the industry, try to understand your business, your customer, their pain point, to see how AI could apply to solve your business problem. That's very important. Right? So I think, as I said earlier this morning, very few of us would directly try to optimize your learning rate and try to do feature engineering and all that. A lot of us would be more than likely to apply AI to solve a business problem. So understand your business requirement is a big plus for you. And second steps I would recommend to do is stay informed, right? So there's lots of online resources today. It's so easy to get an account on OpenAI, to get API key, and write a simple code to test it out, build a prototype, and join like Taiwan Data Science Meetup, right? And join a conference like this.
That's a plug right there.
Yeah, exactly. So you can pay me later. Stay informed. Stay on top of what's going on. And the third one is talking about bending curve. You are a front-end engineer, you don't get an opportunity to work on machine learning directly, so what can you do? I mentioned hackathon earlier, right? So most of the tech companies in the Silicon Valley, they have a regular hackathon. Try to join a hackathon. Try to use the API key you just get from OpenAI. Build a prototype. As a leader in the company, what I would do is that I would try to give a prize or winner to the hackathon project, right? But whenever I come across a very strong, very solid project that's really solving the business problem, more than likely I want to invest a little bit more. Turn it from a hackathon project to a real product prototype. And then naturally I want to form a task force team to try it out for a quarter or two. So who do I choose the team? Of course, whoever worked on the hackathon project. And now you are kind of cutting the corner, right? Bending the curve. Or like in Chinese, you say 弯道超车, right? So that's how you can get ahead and have your real opportunity to move from front end, from back end, from QA into a machine learning project. So that's kind of the very typical trajectory I have seen over the years. And by the way, it's a very, very common question. I got asked all the time because a lot of people want to move to a machine learning. That's not a surprise.
I could add a few things,
Sure.
Based on my higher education experiences, because I think we're significantly limited by the traditional framework, right? So we follow the curriculum, and it's seemingly really difficult for anybody to switch as you move on, with your education journey, right? But let's really seriously think about this. Back in the days, I mean, when we present our resume. The human resource experts actually did this research, right? They put the eye tracking devices to all the human resource consultants and measure like how much time that they spent on reviewing each resume and which areas are the hot spots of people looking at, right? So it's the top line, the top area, that is your education experience, and the bottom area, that is your extracurricular activities, right? And that kind of makes sense from the economic perspective because signaling is important. You're trying to eliminate the screening cost of your potential employer. When the human resource professionals, on average, spend 6 seconds, I'm not kidding, 6 seconds reviewing the resume. And now machine is doing the work.
Yep.
Right?
Now it's 1 second.
Right. So really, the whole thing about doing the traditional education, getting the credentials, getting the degree, it means less and less. Because there are multitude of ways to screen like how good you are and what can you do, right? The capabilities wise. I was talking to a couple of youngsters this morning from manning the booth. Everybody was worried about, okay, so how do I present myself? I graduated with a computer science degree from so-and-so university. And I was like, well, maybe I'm more interested in knowing your personality and whether or not you're curious enough or adaptive enough, right? Because all these youngsters, they prioritize, correct me if I'm wrong, they prioritize skill learning over money because the opportunity cost due to where they are sitting in their career is relatively low. So really, with what you said, machine learning, sign up for the course. Google has a course, right? Free. It's absolutely free. And by the way, I have to add this. I didn't resort to chatbot to form questions. That's why I'm stutter.
Yeah.
Not using all the right words. Having said that, the notebook LM that you guys did, that was really scary. If sitting here, if people sitting here, you don't know what notebook LM is, check it out. It was published 2 days ago, right? And that's what I meant by curiosity. Am I scared? I'm super scared. Am I excited? I'm extremely excited. Right? And it's okay to have both, I think.
See the value you invite Wei Zhong to the panel here, right? You can see that. We talk about the innovation in each company. We talk about upskilling opportunity. We also talk about the last one is about the career. I hope you kind of enjoy the kind of little bit, a few tips and suggestions here. We'll open up any question you have and we'll go from there. Okay? I saw the first person, sorry. Yeah.
Awesome, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for your discussion. I have a question for Wendy, but anyone, if you can have input, I will appreciate it. So I'm an SEO analyst for Peerspace. I noticed that around the time that generative AI being more publicly available, Google's roll out a bunch of new updates in their search product. So if you search on Google now, the results are drastically different. And I cannot help but notice that you start to prioritize the user-generated content and also those more authoritative domain. So my question is, do you think there might be an attempt for your search product to differentiate your search product to generative AI? This is the first question. Second question is, Do you think the generative AI poses a genuine threat to your search product, especially for informational query? And the third question is, do you think, facing this kind of generative AI challenge, do you think from your perspective, do you think Google's search product will have any change in the 1 year, 2 year, or 5 year? Thank you.
There is a premium rate that you need to pay if you ask multiple questions. Just so you know, don't collect the payment.
The service
it's the token link.
You're probably not able to answer all the questions, but maybe pick one to answer. We have about 3 minutes left here. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I think these are very big questions, and I don't think I can answer all of them. But I'll just answer from my personal opinion. It doesn't represent my employer at all, in any sense. But well, I'm scared. I might not be. I might not have my job next week. I think there's a long way to go for the Gen AI to really replace search. I think it has potential and it's starting to change some people's behavior, myself included, but I don't go, if I need like a real answer, I still go to Google search to ask a question. I'm also kind of waiting and seeing. I think definitely inside Google there are a lot of different efforts to try to improve it with the Gen AI capabilities. I think we'll wait and see. I think there are a lot of ways that people asking questions can be different. These long context search and the RAG style search, they could potentially be interesting, right? It also doesn't mean that Google can't embrace that themselves. So, yeah.
Thank you. I may perhaps be the only non-Taiwanese in the audience, but wonderful panel. Thank you for curating this. Having been in the data and AI space myself for the last 30 years, even before AI was popular, I was doing at IBM Watson. And now my question here is, you all are from Taiwan and obviously Taiwan Tech Summit. Whenever we talk about AI, we talk about the AI wars between US and China. And a famous scientist, Kai-Fu Lee, many of you may have heard of him, wrote that AI Superpower book where he talked about how China and US are in two-man race to win the AI war. However, the best semiconductors in AI are made out of Taiwan, yet nobody talks about Taiwan's supremacy in this field. So would love to have any one of your comments on that.
Probably economics will be the best one.
Well, now we're talking about geopolitical tension. Now we're talking about geopolitical tension. Let's make Taiwan great again.
All right, next one.
Sorry. Where do I begin? So thank you on behalf of everybody, for commending Taiwan in our contribution in pushing technology forward. And I think that's a rare treasure, right? And Taiwan is now being put on the map, not because of only because of geopolitical tension, but also because of our contribution to the technology field. And that obviously was also further propelled by Taiwan Tech Summit, and as demonstrated by all of you here.
Taiwan Data Science Meetup.
Let's keep patting our backs. So I think there is a lot to be talked about, right? Because in Taiwan, if you talk about Taiwan, there is a reality here. When you talk about semiconductor, when you talk about chips, when you talk about AI, it's energy consumption. It's the process. And if there is a level of reality in Taiwan that cannot be addressed because the energy consumption is not certain in Taiwan. Energy supply is not certain in Taiwan. The geopolitical tension is not certain in Taiwan. Nobody knows what's going to happen. Ironically, if you go to Taiwan and talk to people, people will recognize and acknowledge the threat, but people still live the way that they live, right? And I think it falls on people like us who reside here. And I will tell you that because of my experiences in the past, I have talked to the the USCIS officials, in the higher education space, and officially and unofficially, they started addressing Taiwan as a country. All right? Now, I'm being recorded. And so here's the thing, right? I think the table has turned. Like, people understand the importance. Whether that is being propelled by the recognition of importance of semiconductor chips or technology field, or whether that's being propelled by ideology, I don't care. I'm from Taiwan. I'm proud, right? And I think we should all are.
We'll invite you next year. Thank you, everyone. Because the time here, we'll need to stop here. But if you have any additional question, feel free to stop by to the front to ask our speaker, and we'll go from there. Hopefully, we'll see you next year. Thank you.